Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Wild Rift video. And in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys what may still be the most broken champion in the game right now, which is Gwen. And it's going to be played by none other than Lonely Kid. Doesn't need an introduction anymore, does he? So there are timestamps in the description to just skip to the gameplay. Now let me explain to you guys how to build Gwen, because this part is actually incredibly important about how to build Gwen, because a lot of people seem to be building her wrong. First of all, you'll want to start with a Gnasher's Tooth. Always. This is a core item on Gwen. Absolute core item. Like, I can explain to you guys why, but just build it. Like, her passive relies around it. Your third ability, everything relies around Gnasher's Tooth. Just build Gnasher's Tooth. You'll want attack speed, and this is the attack speed item you'll want. After that, make sure you get boots. Either go for the plated steel caps. Mercury's threats are situational in a way that, like, for example, if you're against Ashe, you don't necessarily need Mercury's threats against an Ashe if you're good at this champion. Reason being is Gwen's second ability. If you're against long-range stuns that you can dodge, or roots or anything like that, you don't have to go for Mercury's threats because you can dodge it. But if you're up against like some sort of a close-range stun or like CC that you just can't avoid, you know, what would be a good example? Like, I would say Zoe perhaps. Well, even Zoe you can avoid, because while you're falling asleep, she can actually dodge it. So that's the thing. If you're very confident in your Gwen, you will very likely not need the Mercury's threats. Very, very likely. So, you know, if you're beginning playing her, of course go for Mercury's threats, feel free. But when you get good at her, it's different. Glutinous Greaves are also great. You know, if you don't need the plated steel caps and you feel confident enough to not go for Mercury's threats, you can go for the Glutinous Greaves. Second item is always going to be a Rift Maker. This is also like every single game, these are going to be your first two items. Every single game, literally every game. Third item, the Rabadon's Death Cap. And this is just amazing. It really buffs her passive, which also immediately will buff her ultimate, because her ultimate applies 1,000 cuts, which is her passive. So you're going to be shredding the enemies with Rabadon's Death Cap, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. See, the thing with Gwen is, there is a difference between champions that have high scaling and champions that have low scaling. For example, Singed doesn't have very high scaling. So on Singed, you want to build items that have like an effect. For example, Liandry's. It has the Torment effect, right? Like it shreds the enemy's HP when you deal damage to them. Another example that you want to have on Singed is Rylai's Scepter. You know, it has an effect. These are the types of items you'll want to have on that type of champion. But Gwen, on the other hand, she has high scaling. Very, very high scaling. So you'll want full-blown damage items. This is the only real item with an effect that can be good on Gwen. You know, if you need anti-healing, the Green Book is going to be amazing. But like generally, full-on damage. Like Void Staff. And you know what's funny? Even though your first ability does true damage, Infinity Orb is still amazing on Gwen because of your ultimate. Oh baby, you will shred the enemy. Only go for the Green Book if you truly need the Green Book. Like if you really, really need anti-healing and your allies are not getting it. Crystal's Reflector could be a potential last item. Make sure you always go Void Staff, by the way. This is a must-have. Crystal's Reflector could be a potential last item if you're against a full AD comp. If you're against full tanks, like everyone is a tank, then you can go for the Liandry's. So basically, these are going to be always your first three items. Void Staff is going to be your fourth item. And then fifth item, either the Green Book, Infinity Orb, Crystal's Reflector, or Liandry's. Yeah. And then for your enchantments, it depends. I really like Stasis. You don't really need Stasis very often, however, because of your second ability, of course. Protobelt is great to catch up to the enemy. QSS in case you get caught. Like, in case you get caught, you can really skip the Mercury threats if you go for QSS. Because in case you get caught, you'll use the QSS, right? For the runes, you always go for Conquer. It's very, very easy to stack up the Conquer. Hunter Vampirism is next. You already have healing, but this makes it even bigger. It's really, really great to have Hunter Vampirism. Sudden is situational, but it's like completely situational. The reason that I go Hunter Titan is to give me that little bit of tenacity, because like I never go Mercury's threats on Gwen myself. So having that little bit of tenacity in the late game is gonna be fine anyways. But if you don't want it, you can also go for Adaptive Carapace or Bone Plating. Bone Plating is really, really good, and I love Bone Plating as well. Because in the earlier stages of the game, Bone Plating is going to allow you to trade a little bit better. Because that's really the only weakness Gwen has, which is the very early game, you know, trying to trade with the enemy Baron laner. Fourth rune, Hunter Genius or Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is generally going to be better if you're starting out on Gwen. or if you want to dominate your lane, Sweet Tooth is going to be really, really good. Hunter Genius can be good as well if you have a bit of an easier matchup. And for the spells, you don't go for Flash on Gwen. Don't go for Flash. You don't need Flash. You go for Ignite and Ghost. Ghost is going to provide so much more value than Flash because it allows you to stick close to the enemy champion, catch up to anyone really, and your ultimate slows them as well. So like, not only are you really fast, you're also going to be slowing the enemy like crazy. So that is it about the build. Let's now get into the gameplay. Let me see. Is it too loud? It shouldn't be too loud. And this is going to be exciting. Let me just say that because Gwen is definitely 100% the type of champion that can 1v9. Not sure what Lonely Kid is doing right here. He's just waiting in base. Maybe he was going to the toilet or something. But there's a few things you really need to know about Gwen before you get into this champion. First of all, Gwen is not easy, okay? Like I always tell you guys when you know when there's a really hard champion, when you want to get into this champion, you really need to be dedicated. She's not an easy champion. I know a lot of people will make her look easy, but Gwen is not easy. Not at all. So let's take a look at how he actually trades with the Renekton, because Renekton is a really strong early game champion. Obviously this game, well actually it's not obvious, but to me it's obvious. This game you go for bone plating, because you're against a Renekton, right? Like if you're against a Renekton, against a Pantheon, or anything crazy like that, you have to go for bone plating. You just have to. You can actually see he's trading pretty well. Let me just make sure the audio is not too loud. Is that a kill? Yeah, forces his flash. I'm just making sure about the audio. So the screen is freezing a little bit because I'm looking at the audio, but I think it should be fine. The only way you can win against the Renekton early game is indeed to go Sweet Tooth and bone plating. Like, you have to go both of them. You cannot really afford to go anything else because you will get destroyed. And as you can see, the way that Lonely Kid is trying to trade here is he's waiting for the Renekton to step up to the minions, and then he hits his first ability for free like that, you see? So he knows when the Renekton steps up. You can bait enemies very, very easily like this by just, you know, just freezing the wave. You freeze the wave, and then you can see when a minion gets low HP, one of your minions, and you'll know that the enemy is gonna step up to that minion. If the enemy doesn't step up to that minion, of course they're gonna lose a minion. So it's either way, it's a win-win situation. So that is a very, very good way, especially with Gwen, to do a lot of damage, because you know when you basic attack as a Gwen you get stacks, and at 4 stacks your first ability is going to do maximum damage, so you can stack it up, and then when the enemy goes to step up you'll just use your first ability. So the enemy may get the minion, but your first ability is going to chunk them down like crazy. That is really the only big early game damage that Gwen has. Besides that, Gwen is like pretty useless early game. You just have to chill in the early game. Right here, Renekton is making a good call by freezing the wave. Lonely Kid is overstepping a little bit, I would say. As you can see, exactly, he is overstepping a little bit here. He's gonna struggle with running away. And, I mean, I could see this coming. He just made a mistake. Because you can't just step up to Renekton like that. Even though even if Lilia didn't gank, he would have lost that trade really, really hard. And now you can see, he's just like... Honestly, I don't really know what he's doing. He's baiting. He's gonna show himself. Oh, he died. Yeah, I don't think this was worth it. I still think he screwed up. But it's great that he's sending this, right? Like, because I told him, like, send me some closer games, right? Like, because he sent me some great games, but most of them were just stomps, I would say. But here you can clearly see, even a player like Lonely Kid makes these mistakes. He actually made 2 big mistakes in a row, right? Like the first one where he stayed in his lane and allowed the Renekton to out-trade him completely. Then he got to a very low amount of HP and he just got dived by Lilia and Renekton. And now he lost a lot of tempo in his lane because he is against the Renekton. Now you can see his first ability doesn't really hurt a lot anymore because he's behind in his lane. So he has to change his approach right here. And his approach has to be to just farm, get his Nashor's Tooth. Like, he shouldn't even try to stop the backport of Renekton here. It's actually good for him that Renekton backports, because he's gonna get a turret plate, he's gonna take his honey fruit, and he's gonna be going back. Get the Nashor's Tooth. Like, look, he takes the honey fruit, he takes 1 turret plate, and he goes back. Exactly. And now he has a Nashor's Tooth. By the way, this is my... Oh, he goes for Riftmaker? He goes for Riftmaker first? He goes for Riftmaker first. I mean, yeah, he loses this against the Renekton. That's the thing. Like, This is the one big lesson I can give you guys about Gwen as well. You lose early game, you just want to stay away from the enemy. Especially Renekton or Pantheon or Darius or something like that. So like a champion that can very easily catch up to you. You'll want to stay away as far as possible from that. But he goes Riftmaker first. See, the thing about Riftmaker first. Why does he go Riftmaker first? Let's take a look at how it plays out. Because why is he being so aggressive? Like, you see, he's, regardless of him being 2 levels behind, he's still so aggressive. Like, look at this. It's just crazy to me. You know what? I guess he went for Riftmaker for the lifesteal. He's fighting again. But he's actually trading pretty well. Now he's actually gonna heal up. Oh my god. That's the thing with Riftmaker. It gives you vampirism. So you can heal up on the minions. You can clearly see he's healing up quite a lot from the minions. So it's true that Gnasher's Tooth will give you more damage on your basic attacks. But Riftmaker will give you a bigger power spike by giving you more damage on your abilities. And it allows you to heal up. Oh, he's gonna execute himself, isn't he? Okay. So let me explain to you guys what he tried to do here. If you're like a complete beginner or you just don't understand this thing about the game yet, you can execute yourself, which means none of the enemies are gonna get a kill. You are gonna die, but none of the enemies get a kill. The way you do it is the enemy shouldn't have hit you in like half a minute or something, or like 20 seconds. I don't know the exact number, but for a while. Then you walk into a turret or anywhere else to suicide in game. And then when you die, none of the enemies get a kill. This can be extremely helpful if, for example, you get ganked and you just can't escape. So you run into the enemy turret, suicide in game, and you know, you're just dead for free basically. No one is gonna claim your bounty, nothing. They're not gonna get anything from it. The enemy Renekton actually went for a Hex Drinker. You know what's funny? I would say that's a mistake, because Hex Drinker is not that good into Gwen. Because of course Gwen does true damage. Especially now that he has a Riftmaker, he's gonna do even more true damage. So getting that Hex Drinker, don't want to say it's a complete waste. Of course, it's still good. Oh, there he goes. He helps his team with the ghost. Look at that. He was taking the turret, but he's not being selfish. He helps his team instead and gets 2 kills for his teammates. And you know what the beauty is of Gwen? Once you come online, it's hard to lose the game. Like, as long as you just hit your ultimate on a lot of enemies, as long as you just don't completely screw up the game, you should just win the game if you get ahead as Gwen. That's how broken this champion is, because in the late game, your passive will just shred the enemy's HP, especially combined with your ultimate. It's ridiculous how strong this champion is, really. Absolutely ridiculous. And combined with her second ability as well, the defense that it provides you, right? Like, the enemies literally cannot target you when you use your second ability. It's crazy, really. It's really, really crazy. Oh, by the way, small real life update. I actually started working out again, like a few days ago. And I got a whole home gym for it as well. Like I got like the whole setup for a home gym, and I'll share my results with you guys. I guess I'll do it either on Twitter or Instagram. You can follow my Twitter or Instagram. There's links in the description if you want to check all of that out. So yeah, I should have like really good progress in a month, because I used to work out like crazy, but then I lost 10 kilograms of muscle. So now I'm gonna try to gain those 10 kilograms back. Wait, he wins this? Wow. He even wins against that Lilia. He's probably gonna kill her, isn't he? Oh my god, he is gonna die, but it's fine. It's worth it. He killed the enemy Lilia as well for it. So yeah, like, I should probably regain like at least 5 kilograms of muscle within a month if I'm eating a lot. Talking about eating a lot, I should eat something after this. Yeah. That's the one hard thing about working out, actually. It's not actually well, of course, forcing yourself to work out can be hard, but eating can be harder, trust me. Like, especially for a bit of a skinnier built person like me, eating enough to gain weight is hell sometimes, I swear. Like, you know, sometimes I won't have an appetite at all, but I still have to eat a lot. And if I don't do it, I won't gain weight. I will be working out for pretty much nothing. It's just crazy. It's 2 AM already. What the the hell am I doing? I still have work to do. I still have more work to do. It's crazy. I have some things planned for the future as well for the channel, and for the TFT. I have a lot of things planned for the future. Just stay in touch, and I'll let you guys know. Let's take a look at what he does here. Probably gonna kill both of them. And the thing about Gwen as well is, in the late game, just use your ult. Like, your ultimate is gonna be on a very low cooldown the later you go into the game. Like right now, you can already see his ultimate is on like a 40-second cooldown. And later on in the game, it's going to be even lower. It's going to be like 30 seconds, maybe even less. It's crazy. So just use your ultimate. Like, even in a 1v1, just use it. Because you're going to have it up anyways. Don't try to save your ultimate. Just use it. I mean, of course, there are exceptions to this, right? Like, right before a team fight. Like, right before a team fight, you'll want to save it. But just use it. Like, if you can catch off an enemy, kill them with your ultimate. Because within 30 seconds, you're gonna have your ultimate again. Now, I'm talking late game, by the way. This talk is only meant for late game. Like after level 13. That's when your ultimate is gonna be on a really, really low cooldown. Like here, I expect him not to use it on the Rakan, because Rakan can jump away. But whenever he catches anyone else, just use this ult. Like here, ult is gonna heal him up like crazy. Exactly. He almost survived. That's how much healing Gwen gets. Not only from the Riftmaker, but also from her passive. But because he got ignited, unfortunately, he didn't survive. But another thing with Gwen is you should never give up fighting with Gwen. Like, you know, of course, when you're playing some champions, some fights are not winnable anymore. You know, when you're like super low, you're just like, yeah, whatever, I'm just gonna die. Gwen, no. Gwen can still come back in these fights because of how much healing she has. And especially if you still have charges of your ultimate. Even if you're sitting at like 10% HP, you can still heal up like all the way to full HP if you hit a lot of enemies with your ultimate. It's absolutely crazy, this champion. Trust me, like you need to be persistent with this champion. You need to keep going and just keep smashing the enemies with your abilities. It's crazy, this champion. Like here, 1v2s are also easy for Gwen. Like here, you ults Kai'Sa, and that's a kill. He probably kills Annie as well here. As long as he doesn't get one shot, he's gonna kill the Annie as well. That's the one weakness of Gwen, I would say. If you get one shot, you know, you're... of course, you cannot do anything. So a champion like Annie can be hard to deal with. Because if Annie ults you and just one-shot you, of course, there is no more healing, right? So keep that in mind when you play Gwen. You have to be mindful of champions like Annie or Evelyn, for example. Evelyn is also a good example. Or Rengar. Like, these champions are gonna one-shot you. The way you could deal with that, I guess, is to get a QSS or to get a stasis. Depends on what you're against, right? Like to run away. Because if Annie ults you, you can QSS and immediately ult back. The reason that this will very likely work is because your ultimate will also heal you up against the bear. Like right here, you can see he died because of the Annie bear, right? But if he, for example, if he QSS'd it and used his ultimate, he would have hit Annie, he would have hit Kai'Sa and Tibbers, which is Annie's bear, and it would have healed him up like crazy, and he can survive. So that's why on Gwen with Gwen, Stasis or QSS can save you from those one-shot types of champions. Those are really the only type of champions that count to Gwen, to be honest, because Gwen destroys tanks, by the way, if you didn't know. She absolutely destroys tanks, even without a Void Staff. Because her passive does percentage HP damage, percentage max HP, and Riftmaker does true damage, and her first ability does true damage. So it completely shreds tanks. She's just like, she's a completely anti-tank champion. Like here you can see he immediately uses his ultimate. Like just use it. Look at the healing. Look at the healing. Oh my god. He almost killed all of them. He shot his ultimate through 4 enemies, and even with anti-healing applied on him, he still dealt all that damage. This champion is just stupid. I can't believe that she hasn't gotten nerfed like a lot. Like, how is she balanced? I don't get it. Like, do low elo players just not know how to play Gwen? Is that the problem that Gwen has? Because she's still completely unbalanced, this champion. Like, so strong. I mean, Gwen jungle is not that strong anymore. Because her jungle clear is not fast. They actually changed her third ability to not refund cooldown when you play her in the jungle now. So Gwen jungle is actually still playable, but it's just not insanely strong anymore. Like when you play Gwen in the jungle, you just have to go through early game with the slow jungle clear. But when you get to the mid-late game, you're gonna be completely fine. Because your third ability is gonna be on such a low cooldown That even if there's no refund, you're still gonna be able to spam it in your jungle. So you just have to go through the early game when you play Gwen jungle. But I really don't recommend it. I only really recommend you guys to play Gwen in the top lane. Baron lane. He seems to be split pushing here and leaving his team alone. I would say it's a bit risky because there is a Baron right there. He should win any 1v1. I mean, any 1v1 should be easy for him. Look at this. He doesn't even need his ultimate. He doesn't even need his ultimate against this Lydia. That's how strong he is right now. It's not even that he is super ahead. It's just this champion that's ridiculous. No one can even get close to him except for Annie. Only Annie is one that can really kill him. Like, look, anyone else is just gonna get destroyed. There you go. Only Annie can kill him. Because Annie is the type of champion that counters Gwen with the one-shots. You can see even a 0-7 Annie, the enemy Annie was 0-7, she was able to kill him, you see? So you have to be incredibly careful when you're playing Gwen against those types of burst champions. And not the burst type of champion like Zed, because a champion like Zed you can still avoid because you can dash around and stuff. But a champions that can literally one-shot you. As I said, like Evelyn, like Annie, like... would be another example. I mean, Rengar is not even that big of a problem because you can just use your second ability to stop him from engaging on you. Because he won't be able to target you when you use your second ability. Kha'Zix, I suppose, because Kha'Zix can jump inside your second ability and then he's still going to be able to hit you. So champions like that can be a problem. So the only way you deal with an Annie is QSS, and with those other champions, you just use stasis. Just use stasis and you should be fine. You can even get the item, what is it called? The magic resist item. You can actually go for Spirit Visage on Gwen. It's a bit of a far stretch, but if you're against like heavy AP, Spirit Visage can be really, really nice. Because not only does it give you magic resist, it increases healing. And of course, Gwen already has an insane amount of healing. So if you're against heavy AP, or just one-shotting type of AP that you can only really deal with magic resist, go for the Spirit Visage. Trust me, it's amazing on Gwen. Stasis to save him from the Leandris, and the passive damage from Lilia, and they just win the game. I really wonder how much damage he did this game, because this was just crazy. Like, all the healing that we saw in this game, and just the ridiculousness of Gwen, this champion. It's asking his Blitzcrank to tank the Nexus, but they can end it anyways. So let's take a look at how much damage he did and everything like that. $44,000 damage. Damn, son. Alright, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for not uploading yesterday. I was very, very busy this weekend. So unfortunately, I was not at home. But yeah, you guys don't really care. I got you guys with the daily videos again. I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video. Bye-bye.